Let me tell you a truth most men never hear. She won't say it out loud, not to her friends, not even in her quietest moments, but deep down, she craves something more. Not compliments, not flowers, not a flood of good morning texts. She's craving an experience, an emotion. A man. Not the man who flatters her, but the man who moves her. Not the man who fills the silence, but the one who holds it with presence. You see, we've been taught all wrong. We're told that women want soft-spoken nice guys, predictable routines, pleasing behavior, smile at the right time, compliment her looks, be available 24/7. But guess what? Routine doesn't spark anything. It smothers the flame. You weren't made to blend in. You were made to stir her soul. She remembers the man who made her feel something she couldn't explain. She forgets the man who gave her everything she expected. Right now, good men are trapped in a cycle: over texting, over sharing, over trying. They think the more they give, the more she care. But attraction doesn't work like that, because what draws her in isn't how much you chase. It's what you hold back. It's the fire beneath your calm, the gravity in your stillness, the silence that speaks louder than words ever could. And that's what this video is about. Not some cheap dating trick, not a performance you put on to impress her, but the shift that happens when you reclaim your presence, your true presence, the kind that's rooted, solid, immovable. The kind of presence that doesn't need to explain itself to be felt. Let me ask you something. Have you ever walked into a room and felt someone's energy before they even spoke? Like their calm wasn't empty, it was powerful? That's what we're tapping into today. You don't need to be louder. You don't need to be flashier. You don't need to become someone you're not. You just need to remember who you are beneath the noise, beneath the people-pleasing, beneath the endless texting, beneath the fear of being misunderstood. Because when you walk through the world with clarity and stillness, she notices. Not because you're chasing, but because she feels your gravity. She leans in, not to be flattered, but to be challenged, to feel something new. Because here's the truth: the unforgettable man isn't the one who gave her everything. It's the one who gave her something to chase, something to wonder about, something to feel. And when she feels, it really feels it. She never forgets. So if you're tired of being overlooked, if you've given and still feel unseen, it's not because you weren't enough. It's because you gave it all too soon, too easily. The secret isn't in trying harder. It's in pulling back with purpose. It's in becoming the kind of man whose silence holds weight, whose presence can be felt across a crowded room. And in this series, I'm going to show you how to unlock that energy, not through tricks, not through games, but by becoming unshakable from the inside out. Because that's what she's craving. Not the man who reacts, but the one who remains. Not the man who explains himself, but the one who makes her feel without a single word. She doesn't want performance. She wants power. Not dominance, but depth. The kind that makes her heart race without knowing why. And when you become that man, not by pretending, but by owning your presence, that's when everything changes. That's when she starts comparing every other man to you. Not because of what you said, but because of how you made her feel. Now let's begin. Let me ask you something. Have you ever had a woman look at you just a little longer than usual? Not because of what you said, but because of what you didn't say. That's intrigue. That's what pulls her in. Not the compliments, not the constant updates, but the space you leave, the silence you hold, the question she starts asking herself when you don't explain everything. Most men think they need to impress her with stories, jokes, constant messages, trying to fill every second with something. But what if I told you that silence, real silence, is more powerful than words? She doesn't want the full story on day one. She wants the slow unraveling, the quiet mystery. She wants to feel like every moment with you opens a new layer, She didn't expect. Think about it. When you're reading a great book, you don't skip to the end. You savor the process. You lean in because you don't know what's coming next. It's the same with you. When you speak less, but move with presence. When you pause before you answer. When you leave just enough unsaid for her to wonder. That single quote's when curiosity turns into obsession. You see, most guys give too much too soon. They think that openness equals connection. That sharing every detail of your past will build trust. But more often than not, it backfires. Because when she knows everything, she feels nothing new. There's nothing to explore, no mystery to unlock. She's not leaning in. She's checking out. You might think you're building intimacy, but you're actually killing the suspense. Here's the truth. Attraction doesn't thrive in access. It thrives in the tension between what she knows and what she wants to know. You slow down. When you hold back intentionally, it makes every moment heavier, more meaningful. You're not being distant. You're being deliberate. You're not playing games. You're playing long. Let me give you an example. Imagine a man walks into a room and says nothing. He doesn't try to take over the conversation. He listens, he observes. He moves with purpose. And yet everyone notices him. Why? Because his stillness has weight. Because he's not trying to be seen. He just is. That kind of presence is rare. It's not about being cold or aloof. It's about being rooted in yourself. And when she feels that, she doesn't want to run away. She wants to understand it. And here's the paradox. The less you give. The more she wants. The less you reveal, the deeper she feels. Not chasing attention. She's chasing access to a man who values himself enough not to hand everything over for free. So ask yourself, when was the last time you said less and she leaned in more? When was the last time you let silence carry the weight and watched her eyes stay fixed on yours, searching for the meaning between the lines? This isn't about pretending. It's about pacing. This isn't about being mysterious for show. It's about being grounded enough to know that real connection lasting. Connection takes time. So here's what you do. Start leaving some space. Speak with fewer words, but greater purpose. Let her earn the story. Let her feel the pause. And most importantly, don't give it all away just because you're afraid. She might lose interest. Because here's the truth no one tells you. She doesn't fall for the man who tries to impress her. She falls for the man who makes her wonder. That wonder, that's the beginning of something unforgettable. Let me ask you a question you probably haven't heard in a while. When was the last time you calmly disagreed with a woman and felt her respect grow? Not because you argued, not because you dominated the conversation, but because you didn't fold, you didn't chase. You stood your ground, and you did it without losing your peace. You see, one of the greatest lies modern men have been fed is that the way to win her heart is to always agree, to avoid conflict, to be agreeable, adaptable, nice. But here's the truth. She doesn't want a man who folds. She wants a man who holds his ground, holds his values, holds his silence when it matters. Because women don't fall in love with compliance. They fall in love with conviction. You don't need to raise your voice to make an impact. You don't need to puff your chest to show strength. True masculine power is quiet. It's still. It's consistent. It's in how you respond when she tests you. And make no mistake, she will test you. She challenge your boundaries. She question your values not out of disrespect, but out of curiosity. Because deep down, she wants to know, what kind of man are you when you're under pressure? Most guys crack. They change their tone. They fake a laugh at jokes they don't find funny. They nod along just to avoid discomfort. And she feels it. Women are intuitive. They can sense when your yes means maybe. They can sense when your smile is hiding fear. They can feel when your standards are just for show. And here's what happens next. She pulls away. Not out of cruelty, but because she loses trust. Because how can she trust a man who abandons himself? But when you say no without flinching, without anger, something shifts in her. She doesn't feel rejected. She feels respect. That quiet no becomes a signal, a boundary, a line in the sand. And in a world full of men who bend for approval, you become the exception. Let me give you a scenario. Imagine she challenges your opinion on something that matters to you. Maybe it's your routine, your values, your priorities. And instead of backing down, you smile. You hold your tone. You don't fight. You don't try to convince. You just calmly say, "That's important to me. I won't change it." That moment. That's power. Not because you were stubborn, but because you were clear. Women crave that kind of clarity. Because clarity is rare. And what's rare becomes attractive. She may poke. She may playfully push to see how far she can go. But when she sees that her storm can't shake your center, something deeper awakens in her. Not fear, not submission, but trust. She starts to see you not just as a man, but as a rock, a standard, a force that doesn't move with the winds of her emotion. Now here's the beautiful twist. When a woman meets a man like that, she doesn't try to control him. She rises to meet him. She starts asking, what kind of woman do I have to become to stand beside this kind of man? And that shift changes the entire dynamic. You're no longer chasing her attention. She's earning your respect, your no longer proving your worth. You're living by it. So ask yourself honestly, how many times have you softened your voice just to keep the peace? How many times have you said yes when your soul screamed no? How many times have you compromised your mission just to avoid friction? And did it ever make her respect you more? Did it ever make her love you harder? Probably not, because respect is never born from compliance. It's born from consistency. So if you want to be the kind of man she thinks about long after you're gone, the kind she can't forget, no matter who comes next, then don't fear her challenge. Welcome it, because every test is a chance to show her that your peace isn't performative, it's earned. That your strength isn't conditional, it's who you are. And when she sees that, she gives you something no man can demand. Her full, sacred trust. And that's when real intimacy begins. Let's talk about a paradox that most men never figure out. The moment she feels completely certain about you is the moment her emotional attachment begins to fade. It sounds harsh, right? Especially when you're the kind of man who values honesty, directness, and clarity. But attraction doesn't always work the way logic does. It thrives in a different space, one that lives between certainty and curiosity. It's not about being dishonest. It's about being human. Here's what most men do after a great date. They text her the second she gets home. The next morning, another message. Hearts, emojis, affirmations. I had such a good time. I can't stop thinking about you. And what happens? She goes quiet, and he's left wondering, what did I do wrong? You see, he didn't do anything wrong. He just removed the mystery too soon. She didn't have a moment to wonder, to reflect, to let the emotion build inside her. It's like watching a movie and the ending pops up in the first 5 minutes. Even if the story is good, you've robbed it of the suspense. Uncertainty, done with intention, not manipulation, isn't cruel. It's powerful. It gives her space to feel, to think, to invest. Because when she doesn't know exactly where she stands, that's when her emotional brain lights up. She starts replaying your words. She starts asking her friends what your silence means. She starts wondering, why hasn't he texted back yet? Did he enjoy last night as much as I did? Is he thinking about me? And guess what? That wondering creates weight. It creates depth. It creates a connection that can't be replicated by availability alone. Let me be clear, this isn't about playing games or ghosting. This is about learning the difference between emotional intimacy and emotional pacing. Real men don't vanish. They're just intentional with their presence. You don't need to text her every hour. You don't need to explain everything you're feeling. You don't need to solve every tiny insecurity the moment it surfaces. You just need to give her space to process and to feel. Let me share something personal. There was a time when I used to fill every silence with words. I thought if I didn't answer her question right away, she'd feel neglected. If I didn't call her the moment she left, she'd think I didn't care. But over time I realized that wasn't connection, that was fear, and fear is never attractive. Now, I pause when she asks, "What are you thinking?" I might say, "There's a lot there. Some of it I'll share in time." When she reaches out after a date, I don't rush. I let her wonder, not to confuse her, but to respect the process. Because when a woman doesn't know what's coming next, she's not checking out, she's checking in. Her attention sharpens. Her energy leans in. Her imagination fills the space. And that, more than any performance, is what builds emotional momentum. So here's the question. I want you to ask yourself, are you giving her space to feel? Or are you smothering the story with over-explanation? Because certainty brings comfort. But uncertainty, healthy, intentional uncertainty, brings fire. And that fire, that's what she remembers. So stop trying to be predictable. Let her wonder. Let her miss you. Let your silence become a presence she feels, even when you're not in the room. Because the men who are unforgettable aren't the ones who always show up at the same time, with the same message. They're the ones who leave something unsaid, just enough to make her feel there's still more to discover. Let's be honest, most men give too much, too soon. They think that if they're available, attentive, and constantly expressing how much they like her, she feels safe, flattered, maybe even fall in love. But the truth? What's given too easily rarely holds any value. And deep down she knows that. What she remembers, what she truly values, isn't the man who hands her everything on a silver platter. It's the man she had to work to earn. It's the man whose attention felt intentional, not automatic. Whose time wasn't free, but meaningful. Whose compliments weren't thrown out carelessly, but delivered like rare gold. Because here's a truth that might sting a little. You don't become unforgettable by giving her everything. You become unforgettable by making what you give mean something. Most women, especially women who are used to attention, aren't looking for more praise. They're looking for significance. Something they had to reach for. Something they had to deserve. Think about it. What's more fulfilling? Getting a trophy just for showing up? Or working for something, grinding for it, and finally standing at the top, knowing you earned it? Now apply that to connection. If she doesn't feel like she earned your time, if she didn't have to lean in a little to get your attention, if she didn't have to show up emotionally to receive your vulnerability, she won't cherish it, because she didn't invest in it. And people don't value what they didn't invest in. So here's the shift. Stop giving her your story on day one. Stop showering her with compliments every time she smiles. Stop rearranging your life for every little text or request. Start slowing down. Let her earn the next layer of you. Let your attention feel sacred, not scarce, but selective. Let your compliments land like thunder, because they're rare, real, and felt, not out of manipulation, but out of truth. Because you know your worth. And you're not offering that worth to just anyone who walks into your world. You see, most men operate like vending machines. Push a button, get attention. Say something nice, receive validation. Show interest, get praise. But when a woman meets a man who doesn't follow that script, a man who listens but doesn't flatter, who shows interest but not desperation, who's kind but not always available, something inside her wakes up. She starts wondering, what does he want? What does it take to earn this man's trust? What kind of woman do I need to be to hold his attention? And just like that, she's no longer passively receiving. She's actively investing, and that shift? That's everything, because now she's not just interested, she's emotionally involved. She's motivated to grow the connection. That's the difference between being remembered and being replaced. So how do you live like this? You observe before you speak. You compliment when it's felt, not forced. You respond when it's intentional, not impulsive. You reveal your story in layers not because you're hiding, but because you value the journey of being known. And when she feels like she's unlocking you, one conversation at a time, one shared silence at a time, that's when she starts to value you, because you're not another man she stumbled across. You're a man she had to meet with presence. A man she had to earn with her patience, her softness, her emotional attention. And in a world where most men are giving it all away, you become the rare one, the man who didn't hand her the ending, the man who invited her into the story one page at a time. And trust me, that's the story she never put down. Let's be honest, most men give too much, too soon. They think that if they're available, attentive, and constantly expressing how much they like her, she feels safe, flattered, maybe even fall in love. But the truth? What's given too easily rarely holds any value. And deep down she knows that. What she remembers, what she truly values, isn't the man who hands her everything on a silver platter. It's the man she had to work to earn. It's the man whose attention felt intentional, not automatic, whose time wasn't free but meaningful, whose compliments weren't thrown out carelessly but delivered like rare gold. Because here's a truth that might sting a little: you don't become unforgettable by giving her everything. You become unforgettable by making what you give mean something. Most women, especially women who are used to attention, aren't looking for more praise. They're looking for significance. Something they had to reach for. Something they had to deserve. Think about it. What's more fulfilling? Getting a trophy just for showing up? Or working for something, grinding for it, and finally standing at the top, knowing you earned it? Now apply that to connection. If she doesn't feel like she earned your time, if she didn't have to lean in a little to get your attention, if she didn't have to show up emotionally to receive your vulnerability, she won't cherish it because she didn't invest in it. And people don't value what they didn't invest in. So here's the shift. Stop giving her your story on day one. Stop showering her with compliments every time she smiles. Stop rearranging your life for every little text or request. Start slowing down. Let her earn the next layer of you. Let your attention feel sacred, not scarce, but selective. Let your compliments land like thunder, because they're rare, real, and felt, not out of manipulation, but out of truth, because you know your worth. And you're not offering that worth to just anyone who walks into your world. You see, most men operate like vending machines. Push a button, get attention. Say something nice, receive validation. Show interest, get praise. But when a woman meets a man who doesn't follow that script, a man who listens but doesn't flatter, who shows interest but not desperation, who's kind but not always available, something inside her wakes up. She starts wondering, what does he want? What does it take to earn this man's trust? What kind of woman do I need to be to hold his attention? And just like that, she's no longer passively receiving. She's actively investing, and that shift? That's everything, because now she's not just interested, she's emotionally involved. She's motivated to grow the connection. That's the difference between being remembered and being replaced. So how do you live like this? You observe before you speak. You compliment when it's felt, not forced. You respond when it's intentional, not impulsive. You reveal your story in layers not because you're hiding, but because you value the journey of being known. And when she feels like she's unlocking you, one conversation at a time, one shared silence at a time, That's when she starts to value you, because you're not another man she stumbled across. You're a man she had to meet with presence. A man she had to earn with her patience, her softness, her emotional attention. And in a world where most men are giving it all away, you become the rare one, the man who didn't hand her the ending, the man who invited her into the story one page at a time. And trust me, that's the story she never put down. Let's get one thing straight. She doesn't want your entire life story on the first date, not because she doesn't care, but because she wants to discover it. You see, there's a difference between openness and overflow, between being real and being rushed. Most guys think that spilling everything early on, sharing past heartbreaks, deepest fears, childhood trauma, career goals, what kind of house they want at 50 is how you build trust. But that's not trust. That's overexposure. And ironically, the more you give too fast, the less she feels, because when she knows everything before she's even emotionally invested, there's no tension, no build-up, no wonder. And without wonder, there's no pull. What she craves is the slow reveal, not because she's playing games, but because pacing creates meaning. Think of your story like a book. If the first chapter gives away the ending, what's left to read? It's not the facts that pull her in. It's the feeling that there's more beneath the surface. That every time she sees you, hears you, sits across from you, she might uncover a new piece. That mystery? That's what makes connection feel like a journey, not a transaction. Now let me be clear. Mystery isn't about being secretive or distant. It's about being intentional. It's about knowing which parts of yourself deserve to be shared slowly and with the right person over time. You're not hiding, you're holding. Holding space for trust to grow naturally. Here's a small shift that makes a big difference. The next time she asks, "Tell me about your past," don't pour out every chapter in one breath. Instead, give her one real moment, something honest but brief. And then pause, let her lean in, let her ask for more, let her earn it. Because here's the thing, people don't value what's handed to them. They value what they uncover. What they feel they earned access to. The same way you wouldn't hand someone the keys to your home on day one. Why hand them the blueprint to your heart? The men who are unforgettable know this. They don't overshare to keep a woman interested. They share just enough to make her want to come back. And every time she does, every layer she peels back, she feels more connected, more curious, more invested. That's how real emotional trust is built. Not through constant exposure, but through intentional revelation. Let's go deeper for a moment. Have you ever watched her eyes light up when you revealed something personal at just the right time? Not because you planned it, but because she was ready to hold it. That moment when she leans forward, when she listens a little harder, when her voice softens and her walls drop. That's what happens when you pace the reveal. You give her something rare, not information, but intimacy. And when you do it right, she doesn't just feel intrigued. She feels trusted, because you weren't giving your story away to impress her. You were offering her something sacred slowly, purposefully. And that's the kind of connection that sticks. So ask yourself, have you been rushing to be understood, when what you really want is to be respected? Have you been flooding the space with words, when what she needed was presence? Because here's the truth, the most attractive men are not the most talkative. They're the ones who know how to let a moment breathe. The ones who can hold silence without anxiety. The ones who reveal slowly, thoughtfully, because they know their worth. So don't rush to be known. Let her walk the path. Let her ask. Let her stay curious. Because the moment she feels there's more to you than what you've shown, that's when the bond deepens. That's when trust forms. And that's when you become unforgettable. Let's talk about something that most men overlook, but women never forget. Emotional tension. Not drama, not chaos, not confusion, I'm talking about that quiet, magnetic force that lives in the space between words. The subtle electricity in the air when something meaningful hasn't been said yet, but she can feel it anyway. That's the tension she can't shake off. And it's not accidental. It's created. Here's the truth. You don't need to be loud. You don't need to be the funniest guy in the room. You don't need to constantly impress her with your plans, your hustle, or your Instagram-ready charm. What she remembers is how you made her feel in the in-between, in the pauses, in the eye contact that lingered just 1 second longer than expected, in the moment you didn't rush to speak, didn't scramble to fill the silence. And why does that matter? Because most men can't sit in that space. They panic. They fidget. They crack a joke to cut the tension. They escape into chatter or compliment her to break the moment. But not you. You sit in it. You hold it because you understand something deeper. It's not always what you say, it's what you leave unsaid that makes her feel the most. And when she feels that tension, she starts leaning in. Not because she's confused, but because she's pulled. She starts wondering, what is he thinking? Why does this feel different? Why do I want more of this, even though I can't quite explain why? That's the beginning of imprinting. Not just memory, but emotional memory. It's the kind of moment she replays in her head days later, the kind that lingers in her body, the kind that no other man in the room can replace because they're too busy trying to entertain. While you were just being there. Let me give you an example. You're sitting across from her. The conversation slows down. Most guys would rush to fill the gap, maybe crack a light joke or ask another question. But you just look at her. You let the moment breathe. Maybe you smile. Maybe you don't. But your presence doesn't shrink. You're calm. You're still. You're felt. And in that stillness, something powerful happens. She feels seen not because you're performing, but because you're present. You didn't chase her attention. You made her feel yours, and that feeling, it's rare. It's grounding. It's unforgettable. Now let me ask you something. When was the last time you let a moment hang in the air? When was the last time you didn't rush to fix the silence, but simply stood inside it? When was the last time you allowed tension to exist without trying to resolve it? Because here's the secret most men never hear. Tension doesn't push her away, it draws her in. If you handle it with confidence, with stillness, with patience, it becomes your greatest tool. She starts to associate you with a feeling she doesn't get from anyone else. Not because you were perfect, not because you said the right thing, but because she felt alive around you. It's not about creating discomfort. It's about creating space for her to feel, to wonder, to imagine, to desire. And that space? That's where the real connection happens. So if you've ever wondered what makes a woman think about you long after you've left the room, it's not the clever text, it's not the flashy moves. It's the way you made her feel something she didn't see coming, something she couldn't name, but couldn't forget. So next time you're with her, don't rush the moment. Don't over-explain. Don't break the silence just to prove you're present. Let the moment breathe. Let your energy speak louder than your voice. Let your stillness say what words never could. Because when you understand that emotional tension isn't something to fear, it's something to master. That's when you become the kind of man she never saw coming and never wants to forget. So now that we've walked through all 7 parts of this journey, let me leave you with the truth that ties it all together. Attraction isn't about giving everything. It's about giving with meaning. It's not about constantly trying to prove you're enough. It's about being enough and letting that truth settle into your presence. She doesn't fall for the man who spills every thought, who's always available, who chases validation with urgency. She falls for the man who knows how to be still, who chooses when and how to be seen, who allows her in, but only when she's earned her way to that moment. Because presence, real, grounded presence, is the most attractive force on earth. It's the kind of energy that doesn't need to explain itself. It speaks without speaking. It holds without gripping. It invites without chasing. And that's what makes her remember you. Not the expensive gifts. Not the flashy words. Not the perfect boyfriend checklist. What stays with her is the way you made her feel when you didn't try to impress her. When you simply stood firm in who you are. Unapologetic. Clear. Calm. That's when her mind starts to replay the moments. That's when she compares other men to the way you made her feel. That's when you become the standard, not the option. So, I want to ask you this. Have you been living like a man who demands to be remembered? Or a man who's been trying not to be forgotten? There's a difference. One acts from stillness. The other acts from fear. And the shift starts within. You don't need to become someone else. You just need to come back to who you were before. The noise, before the doubt, the people-pleasing, the over-explaining, the constant chasing. Because the most unforgettable men aren't performing. They're embodying. They move slower. They speak with intention. They don't offer their soul to be consumed. They offer their presence to be experienced. They are the men who understand that mystery isn't manipulation. It's maturity. That silence isn't weakness. It's wisdom. That self-control isn't cold. It's powerful. And when you live like that, you stop chasing women and start attracting the right ones. You stop needing validation and start commanding respect. You stop being the man who's easy to get and become the man who's impossible to forget. So if this journey has spoken to something inside you, if you feel like it's time to stop playing small, stop over-explaining, stop giving yourself away to those who haven't earned it, then this space, this channel is here for you, not to hand you pickup lines or gimmicks, but to walk with you as you become the man you were always meant to be, still, strong, subtle, magnetic. A man who leads from within. So if you're ready to go deeper, subscribe. Not just for the next video, but because you're making a choice. Choice to stop reacting and start leading. A choice to stop chasing and start drawing everything toward you through presence, patience, and purpose. This is not about tricks. This is about transformation. And trust me, when you live from that space, she won't just notice. She won't just feel it. She'll never forget it. Asterisk if this message spoke to something inside you. If you're ready to stop chasing and start living from stillness, strength, and clarity, then make sure to subscribe to Stoic Heart Daily. This channel isn't about surface-level advice. It's about becoming the man who leads from within. The man who attracts through presence, not performance. New videos are coming soon, each one crafted to help you go deeper, grow stronger, and master your emotions with calm authority. So hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and join the journey. Not just for content, but for transformation. I'll see you in the next one.